Kids, this is my vlog for March 13th, 2013. How are you? Congratulations to the Catholic Church on Pope Francis. It was a refreshing thing to see today. I enjoyed watching him come out. I enjoyed his energy. I liked his smile. I liked the tone and cadence of his voice. It was all very soothing. And I have great hope that he will be the gentle lamb that roars through the Catholic Church and smacks the curio into back into order, and gets the Catholic Church on a road that in the future it will be ready to modernize itself. I know that's not going to happen probably during his reign, but there is a chance that the next pope might get that done if he gets things cleaned up. Maybe a Vatican III or whatever. I don't know. I'm not Catholic, but I was so relieved that it wasn't Ratzinger. I liked John Paul, had a nice energy to him. I didn't always agree with him, obviously, and I'm not Catholic, but I didn't despise the man. From the moment I saw Pope Ratzinger, I could not. He just, ugh, ugh. And it just got worse from there. So yeah, that was in order. Now, what else? 10 days ago, I started on a quest to have my voice heard to my public officials, and I started with the president, which is impossible to contact unless you're willing to write a letter or send an email, which takes time and effort and concentration. I have time. And I have the deliberation. I just don't have the concentration skills to do that. It takes me a very long time. So I found that very disheartening that for people with disabilities, he was that inaccessible that you just could not leave a message with a live person to take it down. And they have, like, you can't leave personal information unless you write or something. It was really weird. So I don't know what's up with that. But the other thing is this. I had really negative contacts with both senators of Florida, one Republican, one Democrat. Senator Rubio's office is very arrogant, and Senator Nelson, the Democrat, his staff is just absolutely shitty. They're just nasty, shitty people. And every time I've ever contacted them, they've been nasty and shitty. Now, when it came to my state senator in Tallahassee, Charlie Dean, his office, they had no idea about anything. It's like they don't live there in his district, and they have no idea what his district is like or anything. It was the most inept staff I had ever spoken with in my life. Contrary to that, my representative in Tallahassee, the state representative, had a very good staff member for Citrus County and for my district. And I was very pleased, and they seemed to be very knowledgeable about what I was talking about and very knowledgeable about the local area and the problems facing us. With the city council person, the person that answered the phone was very nice and polite, and promised to deliver my message to the council person, and I asked for a phone call back, and I still haven't gotten it 10 days later. I can't imagine that any city council person in Citrus County could be that busy. It's a very quiet county. Not much goes on here. So I just can't. I'm going to give them a few more days before I call back and make them realize I'm not going away. Anyway, they were kind enough to refer me to the centers, which is two of my issues. My one issue was that we had no inpatient beds for psychiatric care in Citrus County at all, which is totally unacceptable to me, because we have two major hospitals and we have lots of other facilities that could house people with mental illness conditions in-house. But they have not had it for years. They used to have it, but it was cut off and cut back. So now, for example, in 2011, when I had to go to a psychiatric facility, I had to go to the next county over in Marion County to get that done. Now, the other thing that concerns me and pisses me off is that there's no affordable dental care in my county, and the only affordable dental clinic is in Sumter County, which is another adjoining county, and it's not convenient because I live in a very rural place, so there's no subways and trains and buses and stuff like that running around on any kind of regular basis that I'm aware of. Now, I've heard there's some kind of service, but I don't know how it works or anything like that. And frankly, I've never heard of it going out of the county. Now, I've heard of programs, but I think they're part of Medicaid, and I don't qualify for Medicaid. So, you know what I'm saying? I don't know how that works. So, meanwhile, we have one outpatient facility here in Lecanto, in the middle of the county, and I live in the eastern part in the county seat in Inverness. So they said, well, call them and they'll help you arrange everything. This is what the city council spokeswoman said for the city council person. So I called the number for this place called The Centers, and I've heard about it, and it has a really bad reputation as being an awful facility with hateful staff that are very hostile towards their clients. And I called, and boy, did I get that in spades, but it was worse than I even thought. The person that answered the phone, which was a female, she had the worst personality I had ever heard. It was like being trapped on a 17-hour, the first 5 words out of her mouth. And you have to understand, I'm a very sensitive person, so I tone and texture and everything I connect with immediately. And I can connect and I can tell if you're just talking at me or you're listening and talking to me. And I can tell so many things when people talk to me. So she started talking, and I could immediately tell it was like being stuck on an airplane with a flight attendant that has 35 years of seniority. Been there, done that, seen it all. She's gone through and gotten screwed on 3 different mergers. She's had 17 productivity increases in her lifetime, 3 pay cuts, probably a bitter divorce. Her kids probably hate her, and she probably had a fender bender on the way to work that day. So now you can imagine being trapped in a center seating coach on a 17-hour flight with somebody like that. That was exactly what I felt like by the time that woman got the first 5 words out of her mouth. So there's a picture for you. And it went downhill from there. The plane caught on fire and crashed. Seriously. She was awful. And it really made me, it was like destructive. It was like destructive for me. It just set my anxiety on fire. So I said, well, I called the city council person, and they said that you could help set up an appointment for me and maybe transportation. So she goes, well, wait a minute right there. We don't do transportation. Okay. Well, do you know what I can do, or how can I get there? Well, you'll need to figure that out. That's not our problem. Okay, well, that's already can't do it. So then I write that down, and then I said, well, what's the cost to go and have, I don't know, therapy there or whatever you do? And she says, well, there's an initial paperwork you have to do, and an initial consultation, an evaluation, and that's on a sliding scale, and it's going to cost between $3 and $200. Okay. How do you know? Well, when you come in and fill the paperwork out, we'll let you know. Okay. How do you plan for that? That's in my mind. I was thinking, how do you plan for that financially? There's a huge, vast difference between $3 and $200. So I asked her a question, which I thought was perfectly reasonable, and you can give me feedback if you think it wasn't. I said, um, can you give me the scale so that I know where I might fit at least closely, um, so that I can prepare financially for this? And she snapped no. Okay. So there's really nothing to talk about. You can't help me get there. You can't tell me how much it's going to cost. And you obviously hate your job. And you're giving me anxiety. So I said, well, thank you very much. And I hung up the phone. And then I called the governor. And the governor's representative sent me to the Department of Health, who sent me to something they've contracted with called Lutheran Services or something, which I guess is, I don't know, a nonprofit that helps people with case management problems of all different kinds, apparently, anything to do with the Department of Health. And they put me in touch, and it took about 10 days because I called, then they called the next day, and I missed the phone call, and I called back, and then it took them a few more days to call back. But the lady was very nice, and she called me this morning. And we had a nice conversation, and she was pleasant, and she seemed to enjoy her job, and she truly seemed to care. And she seemed to feel my frustration. So after looking at the options, which I discovered are none, it's just the centers, or if you have transportation anywhere else you want to go in other counties, which is not an option for me. So she said, well, I will call the centers for you, and I'll find out what I can, and maybe have the supervisor or somebody, a case manager, call you directly. And regardless of what happens, I will call you back today. And she actually did. She called me back right before she left work and said that she had called right after we had spoken, which was rather early in the day, and that they had not called her back. And I thought to myself, wow, they really earn their reputation. Not only do they treat their potential customers like crap, but they even treat the State Department of Health representative like crap. So it's going to be interesting. I'm actually now looking forward to going there, not only for treatment, because I'm going to insist upon it now, but this thing about treating people badly is going to change, because I won't put up with it. Unlike other people that will cower down and put up with things, I worked in an airport for 10 years, and no one, I've been spit at, kicked, had baggage thrown at me, been cussed out, I have been called every name in the book, I have been bullied, I have, you name it. I've been through it, and I have survived that and so much more. So whatever these people can dish out at the centers, I can dish back in spades. And they're going to we're going to fix this. This now has become a mission for me. The new mission is we're going to have some quality mental health care and some quality customer service here in the outback of Florida, because this truly is an unacceptable, absolutely unacceptable situation. Period. End of discussion. So stay tuned, kids, because I have a new jihad. I have a new project. And I'm looking forward to updating you. Talk to you soon.